BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hi everybody, Theo Pafitis here. I've already waded into the Messi Ronaldo debate, and now I get to do the language warning at the start of the pod. Woohoo! Here goes. The following podcast will contain some strong language and adult themes, including some very childish humour.
Crouchy P on the MIC. We're doing this not for free. We're doing it for the massive.
Got to bash out a quick Mike Dean slaughters chickens in the local park.
Was it David or was it David?
No, not that phrase. the one that David said to you.
I don't want to do that.
That's why I've asked you the question.
Pancake. Pancake.
Who is the pancake of the Premier League?
That should be on the start, I reckon. Everyone's got a Fernando Torres.
Hello and welcome to that Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch, Chris Stark and Tom Fordyce are with me as usual. You okay, boys?
Yeah, good. Chris, we're doing something a little bit different this week, aren't we?
No, I really like this idea because I think always when we do this podcast, we get to a point in the series where I think it's quite nice to kind of stop, regroup. And I feel that so far we haven't got through as many messages as perhaps we say that we're going to every episode. And we just want to take the time to go through all the messages that you guys are sending in and answer loads of questions on sort of various different things.
I think some of the best things we've got have come from questions. Like Carl, for instance, has lasted the test of time. I mean, he just sent an email in. Yeah, it'd be good to get through a few.
All of you guys are always supporting this podcast, passing the pod. And jokes aside, we absolutely love you for it. This podcast would not be, and what series is this? 5th series? Without everyone's support and pushing it forward. So this one's for you guys.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. And actually, since we mentioned that we were going to do this episode, the emails have gone bananas. We've got heaps. We've got some absolute beauties.
Great to hear Theo Pafitis there doing our language warning.
Yeah, it is good, isn't it? I know he listens to the podcast a fair bit.
He's a go-getter, isn't he, Chris? Theo? You know, he's a man who knows what he wants and he knows how to get it. He's not going to hang around waiting to be asked to do the language warning. He'll just pile in.
Yeah. We say this every now and then, but one of our favourite things about doing this podcast is hearing from you guys and kind of hearing how the podcast fits into your routines. And especially over the last year, I think it means a lot to us because it's been lockdowns and there's been all sorts of rules and people have been going through so much.
Yeah, and we get messages, Chris, don't we, saying, little preface, don't read this out on the pod, and there's some really lovely ones in there.
Yeah.
Where people would be having tough times and different things going on in their lives, and maybe the pod just helps a little bit.
Exactly. And I know you told us about a message involving Wayne Rooney and Elton John in our last episode, Crouchy. I reckon we'll probably save that for a bit, but do you want to start us off?
I've got this message here. This is from Josh. It's titled, I will pancake Wimbledon. I have tickets reserved for Court 1, day 1 of Wimbledon. I pledge to pancake Wimbledon on the biggest match that day.
Wow. I will pancake Wimbledon.
The thing is, right, imagine, seriously, right, if we're sitting there watching telly and I hear, pancake!
Do you know what will make it particularly special? If Josh could coincide it with when one of the ball boys or ball girls is pegging it down the tram lines to the net, because they will be doing a tennis pancake.
Amazing. That's it.
I feel this episode is going to mop up a lot of topics that have been discussed in the series so far. So I think sometimes we've got to explain some of this. So what happens is I know I've got 5 runs and I will churn out those runs as consistent as I make pancakes. Pancake.
I get tweeted all the time, you know, people saying like, he looks like he's out of pancakes or this boy can pancake all day.
Whilst there's fewer fans in stadiums, you can really hear the managers shouting instructions. Imagine it came from a big name.
Yeah, like overlap or, get round him or get past him. It's all long-winded.
You're right, Crouchy. It's a simple instruction which kind of encapsulates go fast around now just a straight line. It's
bomb on, isn't
it's
it?
all
Bomb
of
on.
it, isn't it? Yeah.
The way that football is, we'll see this evolve. Next season we'll see pancaking centre backs.
Well, that's the way the game's going. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Message from Fipsy says, I think I may have got shithoused by my local drive-through. I ordered the pancakes and the attendant asked me to repeat pancake again. He then confirmed my order with a single word, pancake. I think he's a fan of the pod. I was having some shithousery with customers. Yeah.
Shithousery with customers. I love that email. That was a great one.
It's because we've broadened the term.
But
Yeah, we're getting
shithousing
a lot more.
customers is a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, maybe we make that this week's one because I reckon loads of people will experience that in the week. Perhaps just let us know.
You know, obviously, we're back in shops now, isn't it? I walked past a fella today who just literally whispered under his breath, "Back stronger."
That's lovely.
And his missus was giggling, and then he just walked off. I enjoyed it.
I got one, the weekend boys, first bike race since lockdown ended. From the crowd, I got a nice "Back stronger, Fordyce." So I would like to officially thank, because I know this man probably listens to the podcast. I'd like to thank him for his encouragement. It's the first time, Chris, I've ever done a sporting event and been cheered by someone who isn't related to me.
I didn't know you did the proper cycling thing. I thought it was just you were an enthusiastic amateur. I thought you did the Lycra just for fun. I didn't realise you were
Just for kicks.
I didn't realise you were proper, like professional.
Do you know during Easter half term, talking of like the outfits that you wear and stuff like that? Like I was going to golf and it was a cold day, so I put thermal long johns on and thermal top on. My little girl was going to first day at like a sports camp, and I put my trainers on and didn't put anything else on. Just had the long johns and the top. And I said, "Come on, babe, let's go. We ready to go? First day at camp." And I went to get in the car. It was like, "Dad, what are you wearing?" I was like, "Well, we got to go to camp. I'm late. I'll get dressed on when I come back." Should have seen her face. She was mortified.
You see, that's dad shithousery, isn't it? That's father shithousery.
Is there no area of life where shithousery won't spread?
No, it's been going on for years. My dad used to shithouse me for fun, constantly. You know, like if there was ever a girl around or anything like that, or I said hello to someone like that, he would always go. Like I'd always go. I could feel his eyes on me, and I'd look back and he'd be going, "Ooh." Every time.
You were shithoused by your dad at the age of 9.
Do you know I've got the best shithousery from a father you've ever heard, right? Me and my dad had proper battles at tennis. Like I was not bad as a kid. We used to play every summer, and people from all over used to come to the park and watch us. And then I got to the stage where I was probably 14, and I was up on him, and I'm going on to win the final set. He pulled a hamstring.
No.
He went,
Bruce.
I've tweaked something, I think. And I said, "Dad," I was going, "Don't you dare. I've waited for years to beat him." And he said, "Yeah, but you still haven't beat me, have you?"
Oh, that's shithouse.
There's another cheeky one you can do in the car. My dad used to do this to my mum. So as kids, we'd be in the back of the car and we'd be waiting for my mum because she'd be late. And so the engine of the car is running. You're outside the house and you've sort of reversed into the street. So you're making it clear you're ready to go. And your mum runs up, and as she puts her hand on the door handle, your dad just a little bit of acceleration, just pulls away for 3 meters. And then your mum goes after it again. Next time, just all the way down the street. Car shithousery.
Yeah, car shithousery.
I did the wrong topic when I went on Mastermind, but one of us needs to get on there. Your name, Tom Fordyce, and your specialist subject, shithousery. 60 seconds on shithousery. Let's go.
In front of which fans did Emmanuel Adebayor run that
Length of the pitch.
Oh, it would go massive, this. Let's definitely ask.
That is tremendous.
It is good.
Carrying on a bit, guys, we got a message from Michael. Says, "I was out having dinner and ended up chatting to the owner of a Premier League football club. His club had recently hired the services of a feng shui expert to bring negative energy to the away dressing room. The man they hired fixed full-length mirrors to the toilet doors. The last image that the away team would take into the game would be them sitting on the loo, which hopefully would contribute to a bad performance. If this is true, this is incredible."
I'm trying to think. I'm sure it's Middlesbrough. I've definitely been in a football change room having a dump and thinking, "Oof, that's unattractive."
What have you?
How did you play afterwards?
I think I scored, actually. I'm sure I did well.
You'd never deliberately do that, Chris, would you?
I mean, that's quite a sick mind, isn't it?
Do you know when I first went to Liverpool, I thought, I can't wait to touch that "This is Anfield" sign, on the way out. I thought, bang. Had an absolute nightmare. And I never touched it ever again.
Oh, I feel bad for you about that, Crouchy, because that's the dream, isn't it?
I wish I was one of those that was like, that was my thing. Unfortunately, it wasn't.
I've got to be honest, Crouchy, there's something I've been wondering all week. Has there been any news at all from Ryan Shawcross?
I'll be honest with you, Tom. I've been a little bit nervous about sort of getting in touch with him. I mean, how do I start the conversation? Do I say, "Hi, Ryan, can you please record Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You"?
I mean, literally those words, Chris, would be perfect, wouldn't they?
I think a
Well, you know
voice
what,
note's better because you can explain it. But things can come across badly in a text.
Hi, Ryan. Sorry, I spoke to you for a while. I hope everything's going really well at Miami. Would you mind recording a little snippet of Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor just for my podcast? Top man. See you soon, mate. I just done a little look back at my last messages to him, right? What the fuck's going on here, mate? And he sent me a picture of a betting slip, and he's third in the parched list. If he just accepts it and cries into a camera while singing his best vocals, it's over, isn't it? It's done.
It's over.
done.
Verse,
Everyone's
chorus,
happy.
tier, full stop, done.
Yeah.
Because he's in his first season at Inter Miami, isn't he? He's going to have opposition fans singing "Nothing Compares to You."
And can I just say, if you're a fan of Salt Lake City, can you chant "Nothing Compares" to Ryan Shawcross on the first game you play against him?
Crouch going for the spectacular! Oh, what a goal from Peter Crouch!
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Here's another story. Leicester has got in touch. I worked in a Holiday Inn and had the England under-21 team staying with us. I worked the restaurant during breakfast and I have never seen a group of lads eat so much food in my life. A few boys had a competition for how many pancakes they could eat. Pancake. One of the team approached me away from the table and asked me to sabotage the pancakes and mix in the hottest sauce I could find. I thought this was a crazy example of teammate shithousery. that email's had everything, Leicester.
That email has ticked at least 3 different boxes.
To be fair, I don't know if it's like growing lads or what, but I remember at under 21 level, there was a lot of food consumed.
The England manager at this level doesn't seem to be too fussed about what they're eating. They're having a pancake competition. One of them's drained in hot sauce. It seems to be going on.
It's absolute carnage. To be honest, some of the best times of my life were playing for England under 21s.
Really?
It really was fun. You're just young lads, aren't you? Like got in the squad when I was sort of 19. When you're playing for your club, there might be in the first team, there might be 2, maybe another kid your age when you get in and you're young. Most of the other fellas are not really on your wavelength, are they? They're all a bit, might have families and kids and they're on a different path to you. But then you go away with the under 21s. Everyone's 19, 20. Everyone's on your page. Everyone's just got in the first team. Everyone's earning a few quid, doing all right. And you're playing for England and you're away for 10 days. Like,
yeah, that's class.
Great crack.
Sounds amazing.
It was great. Absolutely amazing. Under 18s, under 21s. Ask anyone. It was the good times. I mean, especially you're playing at big tournaments as well. Great times.
Do you think it's important to protect that? So keep the under 21s fun?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the fun that we had, Jesus, on tournaments or going away. And we'd stay there for 10 days in a hotel and we'd just dick around, really. Train in the morning and then mess around and have a great crack, just belly laughing, having a roar, and you're playing for England. I mean, life doesn't get any better, does it?
It becomes almost a career in itself, doesn't it, for some players at under 21 level? Like sometimes it's you play a few games there and you move up to senior squad. But there's some players who almost become under 21 specialists. Like I think Chalabar had loads of under 21 caps. Milner certainly did, but obviously he moved up to the high level.
Gareth Barry.
Fabrice Muamba had a lot. And before I'd always felt slightly sympathetic towards them, Crouchy. I think I'd felt maybe they've missed out. But the way you've just described it, Chris, it sounds amazing. It sounds much better than the
Sounds
full...
great fun because it's like the England team, but without media pressure.
David Platt was the manager at the time when I was under 21s, and he had a place in Sardinia, And he took us all over there to Sardinia for a week's training.
What a touch.
Oh, we just had the best time. We were training in the heat, and it's the first time I'd ever been anywhere so beautiful. Really, it was a lovely place, and we just had a laugh like constantly. We had this thing called Eggy Buff, and so we'd all be by the pool, and first one to move from the sun lounge up, would be Eggy Buff, and obviously didn't want to be Eggy Buff. And we'd sit there. We sat there for hours and hours, and no one could move. Dinner had passed, And I remember sitting there. It was getting dark, and Carlton Cole just got up and went, "I've had enough." Got up, and we just said, "Thank the Lord." We'd been there for 5 hours because no one wanted to be Eggy Buff.
Well, if aliens were to land on this planet, Chris, and the aliens were to communicate with us and say to us, "What are footballers like?" I would just refer them to the story that Crouchy's just told us.
What is the phrase "Eggy Buff"? Is just the name of the game or something?
The legend comes from it might derive from before me, but for the whole day you're Eggy Buff. So like no one talks to you or goes near you. So like if you're Eggy Buff, you come up to the canteen, you got to sit on your own and all that. It's great. It was a great game.
So this was Eggy Buff Sardinia edition.
Yeah, the Eggy Buff Sardinia. I mean, listen, I can talk to you all day about various. There was a particular training match where someone shouted Eggy Buff, "You can't use your good foot." I went for an entire training session. There was an incident where we were someone shouted it on the bus. And we were all sitting on the bus for training, and someone shouted Eggy Buff first one off the bus. We've seen everyone on the pitch, and we're all just sitting there on the couch looking out. I remember the assistant come on and was like, "Let's con him, let's go." And we're all going, it's like pretending we can't see him. And he's going, "Let's get off the bus." No one's moving. I always remember there's a couple of lads right in the front. Just going, this is killing us because we're like first one's right there. And if you shout it, you can take it back. You're the only person who can take it back. I think it's Sean Davis who shouted it. "David, please take it back, please." He's going, nah, I'm not taking it back. I always remember the assistant goes, "Oh, Gaffer, they're playing silly buggers again." Honestly, right, I'm sweating. Like, so it's nerve wracking to the point where, if you get singled out as well, you go like, if the manager comes and goes, "Right, Crouchy," and he picks one out, he goes, "Get up now, come on, we're going," right? And you go, "Fuck." So then you go, "Sorry, Gaffer," yeah. And then you're tying your laces like that. You hope to God he goes away, and he goes away, and it goes on and on and on and on.
This is the best game I've never heard of. This should be a sport.
I reckon most of the Premier League, like when I was playing, knew about Eggy Buff, the legend of Eggy Buff. I remember there was one time where I was, when you walk out for a game and you're in tracksuit and you're looking through the programme and you walk around the pitch day before or whatever. And so we all sat on the bench, we were having a chat and stuff, and someone shouted Eggy Buff first one off the bench, right? 13 of us on this bench. The bus is going to go. We just didn't move. The floodlights went off, and we're all just sitting on this bus. I said, like, to the lad that said it, he said, "Please, just take it back, like this, please." And he wouldn't take it back. And in the end, they brought the fella who's running the stadium brought all of those like Alsatian like guard dogs.
What?
Yeah, and it was like barking at all the lads. And one of the lads who was shit scared of dogs just jumped up, and we were like, "Yes, thank God, let's go."
Well, like going by what you're saying, there's current Premier League teams that play Eggy Buff.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so.
Wow.
Do you know there was a team, right, that passed a £1 coin through a match, and if you were the last person to have it at the end of the match, there was a forfeit. Say if I'm coming back from a corner, and I've got the £1, right? I just pass it to the centre half and go, "Here you go," and you got to take it.
If it's offered, you have to accept it. So you can't reject it.
This is
Get
great.
you get the £1 coin. As soon as there's a little break in play, you just pass it on to someone else. And at the end of the game, the 90 minutes, or the end of the match, if you're left with the pound coin at the end, you've got to do the forfeit.
Right. So what you've done, I think, has solved the mystery of what Scott Parker is doing with the notes. I think it's just a massive joke. He brings a note onto the pitch. It then gets passed around. Whoever ends up with the note at the game, at the end of the game, is getting fined heavily.
As soon as the whistle goes. You know what? It's something that anyone can do. I think, people should bring it in. If you're playing 5-a-side match or something like that, it's just your own team. Whoever's left up with it at the end buys the round.
It's a great idea. It's something to be said for Quidditch in Harry Potter, because it's a sport where there's lots of like games going on within it. And actually that's what you could bring to football with this little pound game. It's like it's a little bonus game just going on throughout.
Just to clarify, Crouchy, is the goalkeeper fair game in this? So because
I never thought of that.
Next time we see a goalkeeper come for a cross that he can catch and he punches it, everyone goes, why has he punched that? We know he's holding a pound coin in his fist.
Hello, James. Thanks for your message. Right. He says, my mate at school ended up going back to a friend's house and having a kickabout with Peter Odemwingie in the back garden. Apparently, Odemwingie disallowed any crunching tackles as he couldn't get injured before a big game at the weekend. Crouchy, have you had any awkward kickabouts with family or friends?
Odemwingie. What the hell's he up to? He is a great lad, Pete Odemwingie. I liked him,
I think it's an interesting topic, this, Chris, from James, because you'll hear about guitarists who refuse, like professional guitarists in bands, who refuse to do the washing up because they're worried about breaking the nails on their right hand if they play the guitar the ordinary way. And often you think, are you really going to break your nail doing the washing up? You just don't fancy the washing up, do you?
It's great. When you had that football career, there's no end of excuses for you, wasn't it, Crouchy?
Oh, mate, honestly.
So many places to hide.
Yeah, well, there was a few cards that I used to play, don't get me wrong. Like on a Friday, it's like the magical time to get out of anything, because Saturday's the most important thing. You train all week to play on a Saturday. So Friday nights, it's a weird one, because certainly when you're at home, when you're away, you're just in a hotel, so it's all fine. But you're at home, and obviously, I've got a young baby. I remember when my first baby was born, I was still playing. And Friday night, if she's crying or something like that, I'm like, that's not for me. I've got a game tomorrow.
Would you do the regretful face where you'd sort of grimace and go,
Friday before a game,
what can you do, mate?
No, I had a set routine, and I'd be like, I'd have to eat correctly. I'd have to go to bed early. And no interruptions until I was ready sort of to get up. And to be fair, Ab understood.
Did Ab ever have to talk to club staff? Did you ever have to call in a favour from club staff to kind of go, look, I'm not getting anywhere with this. You explain.
Well, there's been a couple of occasions, like where there's a bit of a team bonding session or something like that, and Ab will say like, "You don't have to go to that, do you?" And I'll be like, "Well, no, I do." It's like so. There has been one or two occasions where I've gone to the secretary. Can you just fire an email, just saying that it's compulsory and it's important for the team, and we just go and have a night out.
Crouchy, what happens if, say, Valentine's Day falls on a Friday, or like a key birthday or something like that? Do you have to? Is that a tricky one to play?
I've sort of just got to grips with if you're playing on that day. It's literally nothing, nothing else matters really. Obviously, yeah, if Ab was giving birth on that day, I think I'd be there, or, there was a real, obviously family tragedies or illness, then yeah, but for any other reason you're playing. And a lot of that's a bit of a nightmare for me. I missed out on a lot of things, birthdays, family occasions, dues, funerals I've missed out on. Like there's stuff that I've missed over the years. But like now I've retired, that kind of stuff I can do it all. But
some players go straight to from the birth to the pitch, though, don't they? Like some players, it always amazes me.
As if they're on a high still, yeah.
Yeah. Like, and make it work like that.
Yeah, but I suppose you've got to. I always remember Roy Keane's shout about, I don't know if it was Robbie Keane, and the press asked him, is Robbie going to be joining up with the team? Obviously his missus had a baby and all that. And he said, well, I should imagine so. He didn't give birth. Literally saying, this is absolute joke. Why on earth would he not be? It's been like a day before the birth.
The great thing about your transition from playing to post-playing, though, Pete, anytime you want to watch a game, you can just say to Abs, I need to watch it for work.
Well, that card has been played on many occasions. I've also, coming in here and talking to you boys, let's be honest, I'm chatting to you about football and telling her, it's work. It's really not.
We're all doing that. All of us. And everyone listening as well. We all pretend that this is work.
It's the shrug, isn't it, when you say, yeah, I just got to go and do the pod. Yeah. I'll be gone for
I always
2-3
make out
hours.
it's a massive pain in the arse for me as
Oh,
well.
I do every time.
Yeah.
I was like, do you know, I got an email. They need to start an hour earlier as well. That one started up recently. We need to start an hour earlier. I was like,
I think I've actually sort of got I won't do now that I'm saying it on the podcast, but she's feeling sorry for me. Like, I've got it to the stage where I've gone, got to go in there, like,
Got to the
do
pod,
podcast. I've got, and I'm carrying like 8 beers in there.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Right, I really like this one. This is Matt. He's got in touch. Before a game, our new manager asked for our advice on tactics and wants a couple of things he wants to work on during training sessions. This week at training, he spoke to me before it and asked if I'd help out and take half the lads to do a session with them. It was only after the session I became concerned I was being groomed to become the new Parched. I was hoping for some advice on the early warning signs of becoming parched and potential escape routes.
This is a huge question.
Yeah, fantastic.
massive.
It's a huge question.
Well, because what this is suggesting is that being parched isn't nature, it's nurture. As in, the manager makes you become parched. It's not that you become parched in the manager's
Actively
eyes.
decide.
The thing is, I've seen this on more than one occasion, right? If a manager takes a shine to a certain player and asks him for, his thoughts on the game or, his thoughts on training, a bit like a captain. But if you're not a captain and, you keep finding yourself with the manager and him talking to you and players whispering over the other side about you, you can feel yourself becoming parched and you haven't really done too much apart from be sort of a good character in the dressing room. So you're sort of parched and you don't know how it's really happened. It's a difficult one to navigate.
So you basically, in that scenario, you've been lured into being parchier than you wanted to be. And before you even know it, the whispers have started.
There's people out there actively going for the parched role, and there's people out there that are innocent bystanders in a parched world.
Well, just say that sentence again, because that might be the best thing you've ever said.
Do we think Matt, I mean, it looks like he's screaming for an out here. He doesn't want to be parched. Is there not something to be said? And some people might say that actually being parched is a good thing. Like, go and embrace it. If you think you've got an in here, be parched. You'll be wrapped up warm. You'll be there in the manager's coat. Your opinion will be valued.
I think take it as a compliment is what I would say. The manager's seen something in you. He's seen a leader there. And I know you want to be one of the lads and, but you can still be on side with the manager and one of the boys, as long as you, I think you can, because you can be like, you can have a laugh and joke about it with the boys and be like, he asked me to do this. But to be fair, it is a difficult one. If you're putting cones out and you're organising sessions.
You've stepped across the divide there.
It's a bit parchy, isn't it?
If Matt, in this case, doesn't want to be parched, what would you advise? Maybe some sort of active campaign of civil disobedience in front of the manager, kicking over cones.
It's a difficult one, but then you're out on your ear. You want to be one of the boys, but the manager is more important to what you're trying to achieve.
Well, then why don't you sit everyone down and say, look, we can all see what's going on here. I'm going to be parched.
I'm getting groomed.
Now, what's what we all need to decide as a team is it better that I am close to the manager like this for the betterment of everyone else? I'll have his ear. Things can improve around here, but I'm going to need you all to support me. And if you don't, if all I'm going to get is shit, then I'll step back right now. I'll go key his car or something.
I'll step back now.
I will cross a ball straight into his face if that's what it takes.
Do you see many attempted parching. You would, looking back now, would go, I can't prove it, but I am fairly certain they were parching up the manager.
Honestly, the parched life that goes on when a new manager comes in is phenomenal.
Is it sickening?
It can be, yeah.
Is that a worse thing for a player? Even worse than being seen by your fellow players as attempting some hardcore parching? Doing your parching, yet being rebuffed by the manager.
Interesting.
Yeah, nice twist.
Very
nice
interesting.
Twist. Nothing is worse than I've actually seen managers laughing at the player in question. I mean, there's nothing more degrading than parching yourself and being refused the parching. You've alienated the boys and the manager's not having it.
You've got nowhere to go.
You know what? Some of the managers can see it a mile off. They're not stupid, are they? You know,
transfer. That's what you do.
Yeah, it's a call to the agent, isn't it?
This isn't the club for me.
And he's like, "What's the problem? I thought you were no. Something happened at training today. What?
Something happened.
I attempted a parching. I was rejected. Find me a club."
Imagine the reasons. You know, transfer request been slapped in, and it comes up on Sky Sports News. I rejected parching.
And they report it really seriously. It's like, we're led to believe there was an incident on the training pitch. Now we can exclusively reveal there was an attempted parching, which has been rebuffed,
sensationally
rebuffed by the
rebuffed
club. But we are led to believe that the falling out with the manager was due to an attempted parching, and a transfer request has swiftly been handed in.
There's no future for him at this club.
Have you ever seen a transfer request go? Does it really work like this? Like a player, have you ever seen a player have a paddy and then go, right, I'm leaving, and they leave?
Yeah, quite a few times I've seen that happen. You know, a player go into the manager's office fuming at being left out, and you know, slapping a transfer request in, and
really,
all that.
The people will do that in anger.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen that loads of times. Yeah, and then he'll come back into the change room, and obviously, like so beforehand, they'll say like, that's it. And tell all the boys, you won't see me again. That's me done, and you'll see them Monday.
Awkward, that, isn't it? Everyone just pretend it didn't happen.
That was, you know, even when players are trying to get move as well, you know, like players who are, you know, maybe at a smaller club and a bigger club's coming in for them. And it's been going on, you know, that transfer sagas that drag on. And we're like, oh, you still here? You still here? And, you know, like just giving them stick all the time. And then they're, you know, coming in and going, this, I think it's done. I think I'm off, whatever. And you'll see them again Monday.
Yeah, the one that apparently was going, and you know, it's even said bye or like.
Took all his boots and all that, and then the thing
said goodbye to the canteen ladies.
Took out, you know, cleaned out his locker and all that. At least that sheepish little walk in and putting his boots back in his locker and that. everything all back in.
Crouchy's done the robot again because it's 100 Premier League goals for Peter Crouch.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Okay, message from Charlie. It says, on the recent Hotels episode, Crouchy mentioned that Rooney likes a bit of karaoke. I can confirm this is true. I live in Washington, D.C., and while Rooney was playing there, I bumped into him at a piano bar in Georgetown. There was a man playing the piano who Wayne and his friends regularly turned up for, like a crew of karaoke groupies. After my wife finished an agonising rendition of Dancing Queen, Wayne steps up to the mic and brings the house down singing Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. Somehow we found ourselves talking about Elton John, and Rooney says, I've met him, and proceeds to Google Wayne Rooney and Elton John as though he has to prove to us that he's met Elton John. It was a surreal moment.
Yeah, he's good. He likes a bit of karaoke. He's good. He's not bad. He fancies himself as a bit of a singer. Westlife's his main number. We did Westlife at Wayne Rooney's party. It was me, Wayne Rooney, Gareth Barry, and Joe Hart.
God, that must have been amazing.
And you know that one where with the key change and we all stood up together. Yeah.
Oh, you see, that's a good song.
I've got a video of it, you know, somewhere.
Well, you got to dig that out.
Can't say that. Look, Wayne Rooney would want you to prove it.
Yeah, he would.
Verification.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we were first up. The Wazza fancied it, and we just said, you know, we're happy to be the rest of Westlife, really. So, we had the backing singers, and
were you selected? Did Wayne Rooney look around and go, right? He wanted it to be a certain way.
There was a little bit of everything there. Gareth Barry just sort of held it together. He's the good-looking one with perhaps not the best of voices, but, you know, the girls are happy that he's in the band.
Brian McFadden.
Yeah. You know, Wazza probably was the front man, had the voice and stuff like that. I threw a few shapes, you know, probably the Jason of the Take That kind of vibe, you know. Didn't sing great, but really tried, you know. Joe Hart sort of pulled it together. He was quite confident and he sort of knew what he was doing. It wasn't his first rodeo. It's funny because we sang the song and then it was going down so well. Chris Smalling, Wes Brown, loads of people jumped on stage. And it was a special moment, actually, in Wings Chinese restaurant in Manchester.
Good for Wayne. You're right. I've seen some things of him singing. I think it's Stereophonics songs. I think I've seen.
It's quite an eclectic set list that Wayne Rooney's got. Then, if he's gone from Johnny Cash to Westlife to Stereophonics, it suggests quite the range.
X Factor went to shit, didn't it? That was the thing. And I'm now thinking it would have stayed alive if you had Joe Hart, Wayne Rooney, Peter Crouch, and Gareth Barry as the judging panel. And then imagine people came on and performed for them.
But you know what? Why can't, you know, Westlife are doing a big tour, aren't they? You know, for one song, maybe we could replace them for a song.
How do you think that would go down with the Westlife fans?
Fantastic. we were awesome.
It's a difficult one, karaoke, isn't it? Because if you're terrible, you often get a better reception than if you're fantastic.
Well, I think it's the X Factor, isn't it? I don't think there's a hard and fast rule to anything. In that, I believe your Westlife performance what would have been one of the most amazing things that has ever been seen. But we will never see it. We were never blessed with that unless you release.
Do you know what? You will be blessed with it because I will show you this video.
Have you found it?
I got a feeling I'll find this.
Is this a tease? Is this another time?
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like
it's the Iniesta photo.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people will say this didn't happen.
So shall I call you out right now on behalf of everyone? Say you have not got that video, Peter Crouch.
Until we see the video, it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I will find the Westlife video, but at the moment I can't find it. But what I've found is Darius Vassell hitting a golf ball off a really high tee.
That's at waist height.
Yeah, so waist height. Yeah, I don't know why I've got that on my phone, but
it's kind of magnificent.
Just some of the things I've got on this blower.
Lovely.
Oh, I reckon there's some right gold on there. I think you should release one video a week until we get to the Westlife. just a little nugget, even if it's a couple of seconds long.
Should I save this one or not? Bojan and Muniesta doing their initiation song.
This is an absolute gold mine. I'd like one of these a week, Chris.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of these a week for now, Crouchy. It's so good, isn't it?
Release a different video from the vaults every single week. What is that?
That's Ab with the Glenn Johnson mask on.
Right, so that's decided then. So, Crouchy, just to be clear on the rules here, you've got to release one video, even if it's just a little snippet, like 2 or 3 seconds, and then we'll do this every week that you can't find your rendition of Westlife with Wayne Rooney. Agreed?
Agreed.
So are the listeners going to be treated to 2 seconds of Vassell hitting the golf ball, Bojan's initiation, or Abby in a Glenn Johnson mask?
Oh, this is tricky, isn't it?
What's the
Because I've
choice?
seen all 3 of these. But my instinct, having seen on Crouchy's Zoom this clip of Darius Vassell swiping a stick/pipe at the height of his waist, that feels to me like the clear number one.
I do think there's a huge demand for Clancy in a Glenn Johnson mask, though. I think it's niche. I'm not sure.
Well, this can roll on, can't it? Because, of course, every week that Crouchy can't find this Westlife video, another video from his phone has to come out. So it might be that in week 2 we get Abby in a Glenn Johnson mask, and maybe week 3 we get Bojan and his initiation at Stoke City.
It's a fantastic initiation as well.
All right, well, I feel like we've kind of reached a group decision here that it should be Vassell hitting the golf ball that everyone sees for the first video, just to get us started, you know, just 2-3 seconds of that, Crouchy.
Let's tee off.
Let's go. Brill. This is going to be good fun.
Pleasure.
Crouchy's done the robot again because it's 100 Premier League goals for Peter Crouch.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Right, Theo Paphitis back again. Now, not a lot of people know this, but I used to be chairman of Millwall Football Club. But Crouchy knows, because when I tried to sign him all those years ago from QPR, his agent told me to sling my hook. Do you remember that, Mr. Crouch? Anyway, let's move on. Question for you is, what's the biggest Barney you've seen a chairman have with a manager?
Nice chat from Theo.
Should
we do this in two parts?
Where do you want to start, Crouchy? How would you like to?
Let's do the transfer first of all.
There was a lot of clubs sort of like infamy when I was a kid. So like I was at QPR at 19 and I always remember speaking to David Moyes. He was at Preston. I spoke to Stan Ternant, who was at Burnley. Yeah, Millwall, Palace. There was a few clubs sort of like sniffing around that wanted me to go there before I sort of went to the Premier League. And yeah, I heard Millwall were interested, but I never really got a concrete offer or what have you. It's difficult because the owners don't really come into play when you're signing for a club. Like you don't see them day to day, do you? It's not a thing where you think, oh God, he's a good owner. It's like it doesn't even come into your thinking.
That's interesting. But then from his side of things, it does come into it. Obviously, it is quite personal to be honest with you, I'd completely forgotten he was a chairman.
Owners come and go. They are behind the football club. They're never ever the forefront of it. Like Roman Abramovich, how many interviews have you heard him do? You know,
He's
none.
not a single one, has he?
You know, never. You know, they own a football club, but they're behind it. John Henry, Glazers, all of them. The Abu Dhabi people behind Man City,
Arsenal.
They're owners, but no one knows anything about them. You don't know what they do. You don't know what they're doing.
Get involved? Is there never a kind of like, if they desperately want someone, one of these people, they're very rich, they can get onto you, promise you, a yacht. Do they never step in and use their sort of personal?
Yeah, but they have done. I mean, the year I went to Portsmouth, Milan Mandaric was the owner then. We didn't win a game in 1 month. And he came down to the dressing room. You boys have not won one game this month. I'm not going to pay you. But I got it. Like for me, I was earning more money than I could ever imagine. I was a kid I was on 800 quid a week at QPR. And then I went to a few grand a week at Portsmouth. And I was probably lowest paid out of most of the players. And I sort of understood it. I was like, if you own a club and no one's performed in that month at all, but unfortunately, you just can't get away with that. Like there's players there that were trying to pay their mortgage or trying to, had bills to pay. And obviously didn't have a leg to stand on, but we didn't get paid that month. And it went to tribunal and, obviously ended up getting it in the end. But as an owner, it was the first time I ever saw like someone come down and go, right, you lot of shit. I'm not having it.
So what about the second part of Theo's question here, the biggest Barney that you've seen, Crouchy, between a player and an owner?
Well, what I will say is my only real dealing of an owner, I've had 3 dealings. That one with Milan Mandaric. When I signed for Aston Villa, Doug Ellis took me in his room, told me he'd invented the overhead kick. And then later on, I had dealings with Daniel Levy when he basically told me that I wouldn't get a squad number when he was bringing Adebayor in because there was a bid from Stoke for £10 million. And he said, if I don't go, then I wouldn't get a squad number. And I had dealings with him. I was like, well, this is outrageous. And we chatted and it was quite ruthless and it was harsh and it was difficult for me to understand. But now, as an older man, I can understand where he's coming from 100%. But at the time, it's difficult to take.
Right, we've probably just got time here, boys, for a couple of our usual new Dragon's Den ideas, which we're going through every week. Spray and A's definitely still our standout idea, isn't it? I think people are going to have to go an awful long way to beat that one from Tom near Glasgow. But let's see if any of these can compete. This one's from Gavin. My invention is laminated bog roll. Perfect for when you're out cycling and means you can rinse it before using it again. Now, my instinct on this one is just a no, because A, if it's laminated, then it's not going to serve its purpose as bog roll, is it? And also, when have you ever wanted to use toilet roll twice?
What is the purpose of laminated bog roll, please? Is it like...
He seems to be saying you can take it with you, like it's some sort of cycling accessory.
You can take ordinary toilet paper with you if you have to. It doesn't need to be laminated, does it?
If you're in that desperate need and you're in the sort of natural surrounding, go Bear Grylls in the scenario. I had a shit in Casbury Park once. You just deal with what's around you, don't you? Use the
Did you
foliage.
wipe or just...
Well,
No,
you
did
do
you?
a sort of token thing on a couple of leaves, and then crack on with the run.
This is... Yeah, I've got actually a big issue about this. What about when people panic buying bog roll? Ridiculous.
Crouchy.
Did you do it?
Did I buy extra toilet roll? I had to try and get hold of toilet. When I saw some toilet roll, I was like, I need some toilet. Are you telling me when you couldn't get toilet roll anywhere that you went, don't worry everyone, just calm down. I'm not buying any toilet paper.
I went straight to the soup and bread. Anyone on planet Earth can survive without toilet paper. Everyone.
So,
it's like pasta went as well, didn't it?
Yeah, you might have a smelly arse for a bit, but you can get by.
So I don't know if there's an answer for you somewhere in that, Gavin. I take it that's a no, Crouchy, from you?
Not for me, mate. Listen, what I'm saying is you can get by without anything.
Strong views there, Gavin, on that question.
Seriously, though, how much stuff have you got in the house?
Cushions?
Curtains?
Let's try it now, Crouchy. What can you wipe your arse on around you right now if you needed to?
Right now, cushions. Got 2 cushions there. I've got a couch.
Right, you've got Crouchy. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to wipe your arse on as much of your house.
Yeah, just you've got to run around the room, okay?
You got 30 seconds.
I'll just tell you right now that what.
Okay, wait for the 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. All right,
3,
ready?
2, 1.
Flower, plant, cushion, carpet, sofa, box, pictures, rug, hand, floor, fireplace.
Fireplace? Are you wiping your ass in fireplace?
Wall,
2,
wall lamp,
1.
wall
Done.
lamp,
That
door.
was my favourite game in a while. How many was that, Tom?
That, I believe, was 14. I think.
See?
I mean, I would question how you would wipe your ass on a fireplace or a door, but
He's right, though. You don't need loo roll. Guys, another idea here. Message from Stephen says, what about runny egg yolk in a sauce bottle that you can pour on anything you like? Let's call it Yoki. And in years to come, we can add different flavours, a hint of chili or maybe a swirl of ketchup. The world is your oyster. Brilliant idea.
I mean, Chris, I like an egg as much as the next man, but cold egg yolk?
Put it in the microwave.
Yeah.
So you're going to warm the bottle every time?
No, but you squirt it out, don't you? Guess what the thing is, it's all
I'm not sure.
Without any of the cooking or anything like that. It's genius. And actually, it doesn't need to be, it'll be...
Crouch, I'm not sure Chris can hear us.
Yeah, I think he's gone, Tom.
He did say he had a problem with his mic earlier. Should we give him a minute? See if we can get him back? Because we do have one more job to do, Crouchy, don't we, before the end? So it's that time on the podcast again where someone's on to sell something that our listeners might be interested in. And we like to offer assists to other pods. This time, it's Gary Lineker's turn. Welcome, Gary.
I've not come on here just to sell my pod. I've come on here because this is That Peter Crouch podcast. This is the absolute highlight of my career.
Not sure about that. It's been a shambolic start to it, let's be honest.
How's your podcast so successful? I just don't understand it.
Imagine what it would be like if it actually worked.
Oh, dear.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah, where's Chris? What's happened to him?
Yeah, actually, Chris's microphone just started giving up towards the end of the pod, so we can't seem to get it working. We better just crack on without him. And I guess he'll just have to watch us on the Zoom without being able to speak.
No, he's given up. He's given up on life.
We don't have those kind of problems on the MOTD Top 10 podcast.
Tell us more, Gary. What is this podcast?
Do you know what it's about? It does what it says on the tin, really. We kind of discussed between, we've got Alan Shearer and Micah Richards for this series, various top 10s. I think we've done hard men, we've done toughest places to play. But it's basically an excuse for us to tell a few stories. You know what that's like.
So we've spoken on the pod about when someone comes along and seems to be just a little bit better at your job than you, a bit more popular, maybe even better looking. So, Gary, have you ever had a Fernando Torres in your life?
God, no.
I knew you were going to say that.
Certainly not in football, and definitely not in football presenting. Oh, God, no, I can't imagine. No, just kidding.
What about when you're at Barcelona and Cruyff sticks you on the wing? Who's playing up front? Is that Julio Salinas was playing up front?
Salinas,
was he?
That's right. Good knowledge. Very good. Yes, it was. Who's a very good goal scorer, actually. Had a great career and a top bloke. Really funny. And it wasn't his fault. But you were only allowed 2 foreign players back then. And Cruyff, obviously, I think, wanted his own. He came in and he just messed me about. He played me on the right wing all season. I think he just wanted to piss me off so that I'd throw in a wobbly, throw my toys out the pram. But I tried to be professional and carry on, just did my job, and then had to leave at the end of the season. So playing on the wing, I mean, it's quite easy, to be honest, playing on the wing. Go down the line, you cross it. There's no, you get away with it. There's no pressure on you particularly. It's not that hard. In fact, it gave me even less sympathy towards the many poor wingers that I played with in my career that didn't cross the ball properly, because actually it's not that hard.
You always want to be the number one striker, don't you? And you know, if you've been rested or you're watching someone else in your position, you always want the team to score. You always want the team to do well. But are you the same as me? Do you want that forward playing your position to not fail dramatically, but just to be
fail dramatically? Let's be honest, Peter. I have sat in so many, especially when I was breaking into sides in my early days, and I always had this, and I'm glad you share it. You are willing the fella in your position to have a shocker. Let's be honest. Let's not beat about the bush. 1-0 with an own goal.
100%.
And that's the dream result.
So, Gary, Chris can apparently hear us, but his mic isn't working.
Well, he could at least wave.
Chris, there he is.
Hi,
Chris. So, Chris, I'll do a question for you by proxy because Chris has stuck a question in our WhatsApp group. So the question from listener Chris Stark of Watford is as follows. Which current Premier League striker, Gary, would be your ideal strike partner?
Oof. Blimey. You'd probably end up playing in the middle of a 3. And the question really is, which side players would you sooner play with, Mane and Salah, or maybe the Manchester City, whichever ones they pick, whether it's Foden or Sterling or Mahrez? Or I just would love to pay for a pep team for a season just to see what he's like and how his brain works and how he makes players so much better.
Gary, before you go, I would like Chris, maybe by raising the fingers of one hand or two, to give us a rating for how happy he was for your answer to his question. It's a clear 10.
Cheers, Chris. Lovely to talk to you. Oh, dear.
So just to do a bit more plugging for Gary, he is part of the Match of the Day pod with Micah Richards and Alan Shearer. It's available every week exclusively on BBC Sounds.
Certainly is. Thank you very much.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts. Radio podcasts. Radio podcasts. Radio podcasts. Radio podcasts. Radio podcasts.